Okay, call the October 24th meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Sturgill.
Here.
Ms. Nazario.
Here.
Mr. Ballard.
Here.
Ms. Washington.
Here.
Mr. Ferguson.
Here.
Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Recognition of visitors.
We have no official visitors.
First hearing of the public.
We have no public either.
Wow. Need a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Washington.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Nazario.
Yes.
Okay. Old business? Report and recommendation of the treasurer.
I have items 8.01 through 8.03 for approval.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Nazario.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Ms. Washington.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Okay. Report recommendations of the superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of quick updates for you. I know part of our pathway out of academic distress, we get a performance audit. And we were under the impression that a performance audit was going to be to look at the district's finances and compare our spending to similar districts and their spending, which is what I've always been told that's a performance audit. They're actually going to do an audit of our plan, our strategic plan. So they will be in tomorrow. We'll learn a little bit more about that. But we did go to ODE. Ross, Michael, and I went down because, as we mentioned before, our benchmarks have not been officially approved. So we went down Thursday, Wednesday, one of those days last week. And in essence, they don't want or need necessarily an overhaul to our plan. They just want, in most places, just more clarity. There are a few areas where we didn't have baseline data, so we put a concept out there. Well, since that time, we've gathered that baseline data, so we can take that out, excuse me, and clean it up a little bit so it's easier for a reader to read. Whether the readers are the folks who have to evaluate us at ODE or Board of Education, state members. So again, we have a little bit more clarity. We're working with their folks as opposed to formally submitting. I think we've already formally submitted 10, is that right? 9, 10 of them? We're just going to kind of tweak it at the end here and get it across the finish line. So, excuse me, I'm optimistic that we'll be prepared soon, and conceptually speaking, our plan shouldn't change that much.
Before you go on,
Please.
the performance audit, the audit that we're talking about, that's the one that Joe Miller put up before. That was all about finances, and now they've morphed it into.
The ODE interprets that language differently. I did reach out to Senator Manning to ask what his questions were, what his thoughts were on that. And he had, I won't speak for him, especially on camera, but we remembered things similarly, that it was the House insisted on that being in there because there were questions about how money had been spent in our district during the time over the course of the past few years. They read it differently. They read it as to assess the efficiency of our plan and the quality with which we're implementing it. But again, we're meeting tomorrow. If Bill, if you want to appoint a couple people to come, we meet tomorrow at 4 if you want to learn more about it. But we don't know more than that. We've been asking on a regular basis for more detailed information, and no one can provide it. So tomorrow, I think, is the day, unless anybody else has information I don't have. Tomorrow, they should shed light on what it looks like.
I'd be happy to come.
Mr. Ballard and I are on the Legislation and House Bill 70 committee. If you're at your pleasure, I would love to attend. Are the other schools the East Cleveland and Youngstown having these issues as well?
Not to the same
similar?
level as us, but again, our situations were different.
Got
And
you.
everybody came up with their own plan.
Mark, can
And-
you make it?
And again, our plan was, what made it confusing, or where we had to, we couldn't be as clear as we wanted to be, is because of that baseline data piece. And again, a lot of our measures are growth-based, which is a little bit more complicated too, as opposed to hit this benchmark. We want to hit benchmarks that are based on growth as opposed to just ultimate targets.
So Mr. Ballard and Mrs. Washington will,
All right, it's at the conference office, the conference room at 4 o'clock tomorrow.
okay, we still need a motion for 901 through 909?
Yep.
Do a motion for 901?
Well, actually, I'm going to break them out a little bit because
Oh,
there's,
okay.
yeah, we got a conflict
Okay.
here. So I'd like the board to consider for approval items 9.01 to 9.04.
So moved?
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Washington,
Yes?
Mr. Ferguson,
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill,
Yes.
Mr. Ballard,
Yes.
Ms. Nazario.
Yes.
I'd like the board to consider for approval items 9.05. I'd like the board to consider for approval items 9 point, how'd you write yours down, T? I want to keep my promise.
Let's do 905 and 909.
Okay, I'd like the board to consider for approval items 9.05 and 9.09.
Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call?
Ms. Nazario,
Yes.
Ms. Washington,
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill,
Yes.
Mr. Ballard,
Yes.
and Mr. Ferguson.
Abstain.
I'd like the board to consider for approval items 9.06, 9.07, and 9.08.
Motion?
So move.
Support.
Roll call?
Mr. Ferguson,
Yes.
Mr. Ballard,
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill,
Yes.
Ms. Nazario,
Yes.
Ms. Washington.
Yes.
I'd like the board to consider for approval items 10.01 to 10.09.
Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call?
Mr. Ballard,
Yes.
Ms. Nazario,
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill,
Yes.
Ms. Washington,
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
And that is all I have for you this evening.
10.09, 8, 9, okay. I don't think I've ever had this many papers.
It's a long one.
Okay, 10.09, that's 10, okay. Any more reports or recommendations?
No, sir.
New business? Okay, being none. Committee reports, requests from board members. Second hearing of the public. Moving right along. Did I miss anything? No,
You're okay.
because you wrote it at the bottom, so.
We're doing good.
The next board meeting will be November 14th
Well,
at 5 PM.
we'll have to.
And
Exactly.
and ideally, it will be in the new board meeting space, which is where the old LCCC entranceway was, and it should be done by our next board meeting. It's on the northwest side of our building. Yes.
That's right. That's right in the middle of the
OSBA.
Capitol Conference.
Oh, that's right.
So it may or may not occur, right?
Understood.
Okay. So,
Should we schedule it now, like for the 16th, or should we?
do you want to reschedule it for a Wednesday or
Or wait to check schedules, or how do you guys want to
or
do
to
that?
see, maybe see what we need, what the needs are?
I don't know when you all are coming back.
It's the third, it's that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
And half a day Wednesday, I think.
Most people don't stay for
Yeah.
that, but even if you did go half a day, you'd still get back in time to,
Mhm.
you know, if we moved it
Does it
to,
affect pre-agenda at all?
No,
No, that would be
Okay.
done Thursday, yeah.
would you like, could we change it to the 16th? I think.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, we'll change that date till November the 16th, 5 o'clock, and maybe in the new,
Yep.
we may be in the new boardroom, PD room. Okay. I need a motion to go into executive session for A2.
So move.
Second?
Roll call.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Ms. Washington.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mrs. Zaria.
Yes.
Will there be anything when we come out?
No.
Okay.
No action.
There'll be nothing when we come out. Okay, that was a life.